The Authority of Heads of State and Government of Ecowas will today hold an extraordinary virtual meeting to further deliberate on the political crisis in Mali with a view to finding lasting solutions.
Now, Chairman Ecowas Nigerian President Muhammadu Yusufu says the sub-regional organization would do all it can to resolve the issues there. Now, that decision was reached by Ecowas leaders after a one-day meeting in Bamako last week over the rising political unrest in Mali.
Joining us now via Skype from Brussels, Belgium, is Global Affairs Analyst Collins Nweke. Collins, good morning. It's good to have you join us now.
My pleasure to be with you, Mike.
Great. Now, the crisis in Mali is getting neighboring countries really worried about what if it turns into a chaos where it cannot be handled, the spiraling implications can affect further other countries. I wonder, you've been following the development since the last meeting of about 5 heads of government or heads of state and government that met in Bamako, and what is expected today. Talk to us what you've been monitoring.
Yes, indeed. Well, the so-called G5 group, which comprises 5 regional Sahel countries, in that region of Africa, indeed have been making frantic efforts, the last and latest of which was the one you mentioned that took place last week in Bamako. Now, ECOWAS, top will be meeting again today. As a matter of fact, information gathered has it that they are all set up now for the virtual meeting. I want to expect, not being privy to the detailed agenda, that what they want to do with this meeting of today is to evaluate first and foremost the security initiatives that have been conducted in the last period, because we are seeing a protracted crisis that took head from 2012 and up till now. We haven't quite seen a sustained period of stability. So I expect that they would kind of analyze the initiatives, the security initiatives that have been taken before. I hope that they will see this as an issue with very, very strong dimensional implications, like you captured in your introduction. The reason this is important is that if the prognosis is not correct, if they do not see this beyond political crisis, the solution will not be far-reaching enough to capture and arrest the situation. That is why the diagnosis is very important. And I hope they will be doing a good job.
All right, Collins, if I may interrupt your line of thought. The ECOWAS G5 had suggested a government of national unity to address the situation, which was rejected. If you look at it closely, is that something that would really address the situation in the country? Because all they are asking is for the president to step aside.
A government of national unity is a part of the solution, and I do hope that it do not be looked at as the be-all and end-all of the solution in Mali. I think it is important that, like I said earlier on, that they see this beyond the political issues. Now, they need to also look at the human aspects of this whole crisis, because one of the things that fuel this whole crisis is the inter-regional, intercommunal, upheavals that they had seen earlier on, and that is fueled by the high level of poverty there. So the vulnerable groups are more susceptible to the terrorists and other groups that are devastating the area. So the human angle to it has got to be looked at beyond the government of national unity, because that government of national unity, of course, is a tool to the end. So I will expect that that government of national unity will also include, this is probably funny but important, will include traditional rulers, because they have played major role in security matters, in previous years.
All right. Collins, thank you very much for your time on the program. This discussion continues as we monitor the June 5 movement, as it is called, in Mali.
Now, Ecowas says it will take strong measures that will contribute to the resolution of the crisis, and that decision will be made today. What do you foresee the strong measures would be, or what do you hope to see would be the strong measures?
The most important expectation, and I sincerely hope that the Ecowas top, that they have done their homework very well, shouldn't be business as usual. And business as usual has essentially meant that the focus was exclusively on security. Security is important, but human development is even more important, because we know that when inclusive development strategies are actually deployed side by side security, the solutions put on the ground has more chances of sustainability. Now, what we have had so far in the Sahel region, specifically in Mali, has concentrated only on this security, and I do hope that when the ECOWAS top meet this morning, that they will begin to look more critically at those factors that actually have meant that vulnerable groups are actually the ones fueling this crisis, because they are easier targets of extremist groups. The local chiefs target them as well, and so I want to see a situation where that is also, these development strategies are given as much attention as security.
All right, Collins, the reality on the ground in Mali is that the people are angry at the government for bad governance. They talked about the issue of corruption, the issue of security are all there. Now, what caution do you think should be taken now that the heads of government of ECOWAS are coming to meet on the issue of Mali? What caution must be taken so the issue doesn't escalate further?
Well, in the first place, I think it's overly optimistic to expect that this one summit by the ECOWAS top is going to resolve the issue, even if they continue the meeting till the unholy hours of tomorrow morning. I'm not as optimistic as they are, but indeed, I am hopeful that that will become the case. Now, going straight to the question that you raised, I believe that a conventional intervention in this specific case is not going to cut the meat. What will cut the meat is very unorthodox, unconventional, strategy that should include the role of traditional rulers, in the hinterlands of Mali. So far, their roles have been ignored. Let us not forget that the neighboring country, Burkina Faso, for example, in the period that they saw peace, this was essentially because the person in power at the time for over 27 years recognized and indeed had very pronounced role for the traditional ruler. I want to see such a situation take place in Mali, because when that happens, then you will see that the security issues will be addressed, but also the human development strategic imperative will also come to play.
You said that you are not optimistic. I wonder why and what concerns you have. And what do you see making the opposition in person of DICO now shifting grounds at this time?
Well, your mention of the Quran is actually one of those, and the deep-rooted conflict and misunderstanding is actually one of the factors of my pessimism, for want of a better word. And let me say this by way of clarification. I want to see a deal reached as quickly as possible. But I'm just saying that the underlying issues are just too complicated that, this is certainly going to be a multi-task, a multi-dimensional meeting. Now, apart from the security issues like I had mentioned earlier, there are also the corruption, like you said. Corruption is not something you sort out in one meeting. But the tools that you put in place, the checks and balances, and of course the role of regional bodies, not just Ecowas, but also the entire African Union, and going further to friends and allies of Africa, individual countries, and then groups, will all come together because they have a role to play, and the extent of the financing of whatever solution that is put in place. Take, for example,
Collins, we have run out of time now. We need to leave the conversation here, but we must thank you so much for your contribution on the show this morning.
My pleasure to be with you. Thank you.